morning.
Good morning, Mr. Spector. How are you, sir?
Most excellent.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, all
Much
good?
appreciated.
All good? 27 again?
20, that's right, 27 plus 50.
All right,
On.
awesome. You got some cool stuff to show us today?
Absolutely.
All right,
We got all kinds of toys.
Looking forward to it. I was just
Wonderful.
explaining to everybody.
Daisy is running around. Daisy, you a happy girl? Yes, she is.
Yeah, Daisy.
Oh, she's a happy girl.
Yeah, that's a base dog right there.
That's it.
Hey, Daisy.
Daisy, say hello.
What's up, sweetie? There you go. So when you see on the back of the headstock, made in Woodstock, I mean, you have to be here to understand the spectacular nature and the quietness of this place. I mean, the Catskills is really just unbelievable. Your home here, or your studio, your workshop here is just fantastic. So today I have the great pleasure and the honor to sit here with a legend of instrument building, Mr. Stuart Spector. I'm here in upstate New York in the Catskills on behalf of residents, where it's all about music, culture, and creativity. And who better to speak with, and on his birthday, than Mr. Stuart Spector.
Thank you so much.
How are you, sir?
David, great to have you here, man. Thanks for coming over.
No, it's my pleasure. When I got a text from you from the Bass Upfront page asking me, hey, where did you move to upstate? And I saw Stuart Spector. I'm like, well, there's got to be 100 guys, 1,000 guys named Stuart Spector. And I'm like, oh, no, this is Stuart Spector. So I'm like, all right. I mean, it didn't hit me right away, but...
There was one other one there are plenty others, but there was one other one in Brooklyn who wound up getting my Volkswagen Bug parking tickets.
Okay.
Never mind. You can edit that out. Okay.
No, I don't need
Statute of limitations long over. That was 55 years ago.
I don't need to edit that out. So I'm interested in talking about you and not so much the gear.
Sure.
I'm always been fascinated by people who create with their hands, who can take a raw item like a piece of wood and some wire and can visualize building something out of it. And Resonance, the show, is all about music. Music is the thread that runs through it, whether it's a guitar player, a luthier who makes guitars, who makes basses, who makes cellos, it doesn't matter, pans.
Yeah.
So, but I'm fascinated about you and your New York story.
Okay.
So I'm curious, before there were Spector basses, who were you?
Well, here I want to do a shout out to my dear departed Aunt Estelle and Uncle Eddie. When I was probably 5 years old, they gave me a handy Andy mechanical drawing set, which I took to like the proverbial duck to water and started designing the interiors of spaceships and using the T-square and the triangle and all this other stuff. And Uncle Eddie, God bless him, who lived to be one day short of 100, okay, and was a machinist by trade. And when I got to go with my folks to visit them, when they initially lived, they lived on Long Island, they actually initially lived down the block from the apartment building where hip hop started on Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx.
Yeah.
They moved to Syosset after that. Anyhow, when I went out there, he had a real tool bench with tools. It was like, wow. We had like a rusty green metal box with a rusty hammer and a rusty screwdriver in it and maybe a can opener.
Right.
Okay. And so that was wonderful and inspirational, etc.
Is that where you got inspired?
It was totally like, oh, wow, look at this. And there was one other event also when I was very young. One of my mother's cousins and her husband were high-end interior decorators in Manhattan. And they had a house in Brownstone and Fort Greene. And in Fort Greene, they had a furniture workshop where they made custom pieces for their clients. And anyhow, I went there to visit one day, and we were walking around the place, and there was a guy there near the bandsaw, and he saw me. He goes, "Hey kid, hold on a second. I'll make you something. Hang on." He takes a scrap of wood, and he makes me a rubber band gun. Like, I went, "Wow, look at that! This guy just made something. That's fun." So there's some very early.
That inspired you?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And when did you start looking into building guitars from making inanimate objects, let's just say?
Well, first, I was making actually stained glass lamps, okay,
Okay.
and did that for a while. And then I was hanging out with my dear friend who's passed on, Mike Kropp, who was an incredible musician, a dear friend of mine. And we were hanging out in Pacific Street in his living room in Brooklyn, and he was playing his Gibson Hearts and Flowers master tone flathead banjo, 5-string. And he said, "Oh yeah, this was originally a tenor banjo, and one of my college friends, Kick Stewart, who started Stewart McDonald, made this 5-string neck for it in his student apartment in Denver when we were old." And I heard that and went, "Well, if he could do that, I could make myself an electric guitar. How hard could it be? It's just some pieces of wood." And I set off to do it. And
Did you read a book? Did you?
there was only
there was no
one.
going online.
There was one book on classical guitar building by Roger Sadowski's future father-in-law,
Wow.
Irving Sloan, and the only thing I learned from that book was the formula for calculating fret locations. Okay. Everything else in there was like not relevant to what I was trying to do.
So you were winging it.
Totally winging it. And first place that I went to buy wood was H.L. Wild and Company. That was on 12th Street between B and C, back when that really was Jungle Land.
Yeah.
And they had been there since the 1880s, I believe. And the security patrol in the place was a German Shepherd the size of a Kodiak bear. Okay.
Yeah.
And I bought some shell and some wood and mahogany, and I bought a piece of curly birch there to make the body of this SG copy. A beautiful piece of wood, an absolutely terrible choice of tone wood, way too heavy,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so I took this back to my basement of my group house in Brooklyn and proceeded to try to get it right. And it was a lot of
Did
try.
you?
Eventually. It took a while, of
Did
course.
you use it? Did you gig it?
That guitar? No. PJ has it in his collection.
Still has it.
Oh,
still
absolutely.
around.
No, I gave it to him. Absolutely. It didn't have enough peg head angle. There was just all kinds of stuff I had no clue about, you know.
Speaking of Brooklyn,
Yeah.
what was it like when you were a young man? What years were you there?
Well, I lived in the Bronx until I was 20. And then when I was 20, I moved to Brooklyn. And
Where about?
first to Borum Hill on Pacific Street. And I was right
Okay.
down the block from my pal Mike, by complete coincidence, actually. And Mike was working as a producer at Columbia Records, worked there for a few years and playing music, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the first place that I landed in Brooklyn and moved to various places, eventually to Park Slope, and met my dear friend Billy Thomas, who was one of the very much moving forces to found the Brooklyn Woodworkers Cooperative.
You were telling me about that.
Right, where at a building on 12th Street between 7th and 8th Avenues in Brooklyn. Daisy, that's very nice. Put down, please. Thank you. And it had been the Ansonia Clockworks factory. It was the largest clock factory in the world from the 1870s until 1929, when they went bust. The entire place was packed up in crates and sold to the Soviets, to Russia, and where it made wind-up clocks and things until the 60s, probably. Anyhow, We had a 5,000 square foot loft there for 5 or 6 of us to share.
Yeah.
That cost us $500 a month, including heat, electricity, and a freight elevator.
That's crazy because that's $10,000 a month now.
Oh, it's
More.
It's way more. I mean, they divided that whole building up into condos, each of which sold for $100,000.
Right,
whatever,
especially in those neighborhoods.
Oh,
in Park
God,
Slope
yeah,
or Borum Hill.
But back then, it was, you know, there were other industrial businesses in the complex. The guy on the ground floor had a spot welding company business that welded, made hangers to hang your garden hose on and little picket fence thingies. Anyhow,
You were building guitars at that point?
yes, I was starting to build guitars. Yeah, exactly. And I had initially a 10-foot by 10-foot space in the corner.
Wow, that's kind of small relative to the size of
Well,
the space.
yeah,
that's all you needed, I guess.
that's all I needed for the benches and the things I was doing. But I had access to the commonly used machinery, like somebody contributed a table saw, a bandsaw. We had a stroke sander, etc. So
Did
there
it bring
was-
you joy? Did it bring you joy building guitars?
Oh, absolutely, and it still does. I mean, I love making stuff. I love designing stuff. I love figuring out how to make stuff. I mean, the whole, process of okay, how do I do this? What do I have to do before it? What do I have to do after it? So that everything links together and is totally enjoyable to me to this day. It's like knitting,
Yes.
I
I wouldn't know, but
but
I see people.
my daily schedule here is to do the machining work in the morning, okay, and then about 3 o'clock, Daisy and I go home and I make some supper, and then I come back here and I'll do drawing and programming and figuring stuff out and practicing music and all that stuff, and that's my daily routine.
Do you think that Brooklyn was inspirational for you to become a professional luthier?
Absolutely.
How so?
Because among other things, the resources there were incredible. We were only like a 10-minute drive at most from the waterfront, from the docks in Red Hook, okay? And down there was Conklin Brass and Copper Company, so I could buy pieces of brass to try to make bridges and other things out of, okay? And also was, a lumber company right on the docks. Of course, I'm drawing a blank on their name right now, but they had been there since like the 1840s in these huge brick warehouses right on the dock. Oh, God, nah, I'm drawing, it'll come to me, the name. But anyhow, one day I was there and the freighters would tie up right behind this place. You'd walk through the warehouse to the back and the dock was there. And I was there one day and this freighter from Africa was tied up and they were hoisting with a crane 12-inch by 12-inch beams of perfectly quarter-sawn bubinga.
Wow.
And this place,
Wow.
I mean, this place was loaded. They had one warehouse that was just mahogany, real mahogany. They had ebony, rosewood, every imported hardwood imaginable. And so that was a fantastic resource.
Quarter-sawn babinga. That sounds delicious.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really did not ever buy any of that, and I've rarely used any of it. But we certainly bought rosewood and ebony from them there, which was a godsend, and mahogany probably from them. And
So why musical instruments and not furniture or
because I
something else?
play musical instruments.
But so we didn't talk about that. When did you become a musician? At what point?
Well,
Were you a musician prior to moving to Brooklyn?
yes. I mean, I started, okay. My dear friend Glenn Appleman, who I've known since we're 13 years old and remembers more about my life than I do, said, that summer you said you were going to go to you were going to summer camp and you were going to learn to play guitar. And I got to summer camp and somebody in the bunk had a cheap guitar that was black with palm trees painted on it and black plastic strings. But most important, they had a book, 101 Folk Songs of the World, which was a superb, wide-ranging book. And I learned the basic chords, and I'm playing on this thing and going, hey, I hear music. Something's happening. At the end of the summer, I found that one of the counselors at the camp had a real Guild steel string guitar.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget playing it, touching it and playing it for the first time and hearing what a real instrument sounded like. And it was celestial sounds from heaven. It was these notes of like, holy my, that's incredible. And I get that same kick every time I string up a new instrument,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
That like, hey, this wood and metal and string has turned into something that makes music.
Yeah.
How cool.
I saw how excited you still were.
I still am.
You still, as I was walking in here earlier today to pick up the bass that you built for me,
Yeah.
how excited you were.
Oh, absolutely.
when you heard it, when you listened, when you played a few notes, when I played a few notes. Still there, and what is that, your 10,000th guitar built or bass built?
A lot of them. A lot of them.
It's pretty awesome. But what made you decide to build as opposed to being a player?
That I'm just, I have a certain degree of musicality, but I'm not like one of those, like, I can hear something and instantly play it. I'm not a natural. Like my pal Jimmy Eppert, he's a natural. My sister-in-law, Christina, is like, has perfect pitch, and she faked her way through violin lessons because she could just hear it, and she didn't learn to read music.
Right.
She got away with that for 2 years before the teacher realized what was going on, okay?
Right.
So in any case, I have my moments. I can play. I really enjoy it. There are so many people who are just like boom. And, and in any case, I realized that I enjoyed playing, and I played with a bunch of friends and bands and other stuff, but never more than a weekend warrior, really, etc. And I still play, with my band Crawdaddy, play Thursday nights at the pub.
Go ahead, pitch it.
Thursday nights from 6 to 8, a geezer gig at the pub on Main Street, Mill Hill Road in Woodstock, New York. And
brought to you by
all of us.
Okay. Did you ever think that Spector was going to be a worldwide name when you were building those first few?
We had no clue whatsoever. And we had no clue about trademarks, design patents,
When you say we,
meaning me, my original first woodwork partner, Alan Charney, Ned Steinberger, who we met early on, and invited him to join the co-op. And he was designing furniture, etc., and became interested in what I was doing and said, "Hey, I bet I could design something." I went, "Fine, by all means, go for it." And he came up with the first prototype of what became the NS base. And
YNS.
Ned Steinberger.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But why not your initial on there?
Because he designed it. It was purely initially, it was totally his original design. And it was influenced hugely by his training he went to Cooper Hewitt Design Museum and studied furniture design and other design stuff there.
Right.
Got a job working for Thone Furniture, where he designed airport chairs and all kind of hospital chairs and things like that. So he was very cognizant of the ergonomic factors involved in making something interface well with the body, which was the reason for the curvature of it in different directions, which was unique. And there were also things that we didn't know, et cetera, but which got refined over the years.
Did
in
you
different
feel there
ways.
was something missing in the current models that were out there today that led to the style of an NS2? Were you trying to improve on something, or were you just looking to come out with your own voice?
We were just trying to pay the rent.
Yeah. No,
know?
I get that.
I mean,
get
luckily we lived one subway ride away from 48th Street.
Yes, I miss it terribly.
Hey, I was just telling somebody that Henry Goldrich years ago, when I started delivering bases to them, and I don't remember, I came in there with one, and he said, "Stuart, listen, these are really nice, but if you want us to sell bases, paint them black. People buy black instruments." I went, "Okay, we'll paint them black, okay."
Yeah.
And so, in any case,
All right, let's go one for one.
yeah.
Manny's, your turn.
Wow. I first started going there when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
they were upstairs.
Yeah.
Do you remember that
Yes,
place? Okay.
yeah.
So you'd walk up this flight of stairs, and there was this room that couldn't have been more than like 20 by 20, if that, and walls and ceiling were covered by 8 by 10 glossies. And it's like, "Okay, what do you want?
Right.
You buying it today?
Right.
It's, how much money you got?"
I can remember guys standing outside Hawkers when they could spot somebody coming in with a trade.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you trading that in? Let's see what you got, right?
Right.
Or Alex's, or We Buy
Hey,
Guitars,
the
Rudy's.
Friedman family, hey, you guys, you boys out there, I can never thank you and your family enough for helping me so much, and irreplaceable. I mean, just irreplaceable. And Paul Skelton did the repairs there, okay? And I would usually drive up there in the morning and park in the garage next door and bring in whatever I was bringing for them. And I would say hello and hang out with Paul. And Paul had his bench there, okay? And above the bench was this piece of crap guitar, okay? And I said, "What's that up there? What's that for?" He goes, "Here, watch." He takes it down, he puts it on the bench, and proceeds to drill holes through it and drop hammers on it, and said, "Okay, I got that shit out of my system now. Now I'll work on the 59 Les Paul." Okay.
I think Rudy's is the last one from 48th Street, even though it's down over on the Lower East Side.
Right.
I pass it on my way to, a canal. It's right off of Canal Street. I pass it on.
okay.
It's losing me on the way to the Holland Tunnel.
Yeah.
But it brings back memories every time I pass Rudy's, that they were able to survive. I love that part of Manhattan. It just brings back wonderful memories.
Well, hey, my very first guitar I brought it to Matty Umanoff's shop on Bedford Street
Yeah, I
and
know
used
Umanoff.
Matty's drill press to drill the tuning machine holes because I couldn't do that by hand with whatever, okay? When I came out from the back, Matty was at the front counter passing over some guitars that he had tweaked out, and who was standing there but the Spiders from Mars? Mick Ronson,
Oh,
and, right?
wow.
Yes, that was who was there
Right.
picking up their stuff
Right.
for a gig, okay? So anyhow, I'm still close friends with Matty and, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, I'm showing my age by
His
saying
son,
the word
his,
Rolodex.
his son lives up here. His son started a website called Metal Sucks and sold it for huge bucks. Huge bucks.
Sold the website.
Yes.
And the domain.
Yes.
You know what? I tell people who don't understand 48th Street, people who aren't artists or musicians, I said, okay, 48th Street. If Led Zeppelin was playing at the Garden, pre-internet, obviously, one, if not two, three, or four was on 48th Street at some point. If Floyd was playing at whoever was playing at the Garden
Yeah.
was on 48th Street at some part during the
Absolutely. And either at Manny's or Stuyvesant, we buy,
Oh yeah, we buy we buy
the
guitars,
stuff they have there
right,
is,
right, right.
Richie or Steve have been posting pictures from way back when. It's like, here, broadcasters, there's 3 of them, like hanging in the window.
Out of those 3, though, how do you determine, not those 3 particular, but what makes a good guitar for you versus a poorly made one? What are you looking at? You could be looking at 3 P basses from the same company. What do you see?
I don't see anything. I hear. And my main mantra is from Duke Ellington. If it sounds good, it is good.
Okay.
And anybody who's looking for an instrument and wants advice, I say, take somebody who can really play with you and let them try out a few different ones of whatever it is, and the one that sounds best, not plugged in, is the one you want.
What we were discussing earlier.
Absolutely. And, because unless you're playing super, super loud, then different parameters change. But in general, if it doesn't sound good unplugged, it's going to sound not good, but louder plugged in some way, for sure, if not in multiple ways. It needs to, it needs to be responsive, and it needs to speak to you. And that's why there's different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely.
And that's like one of the wonderful things. There's so many different instruments out there and the incredible different stuff that people play on them. I just heard, talk about different stuff, Angine de Poitrine. Are you aware of who I'm talking?
No, I'm not.
Oh. These guys are, I think, from northern France. And
are they relatively new on the scene?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. I've been turned on to them.
I heard a cut. My dear pal Rick Schneider put it on the playlist at KZE. And driving home yesterday, I heard one of their tunes, and I didn't know what it was at first. And I Shazammed it, and I went, that's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I could really get deep into a whole program of it, but Sarniez was the song, Sarniez, and it starts off very simply, and at the end, it's really interesting what they're doing. I don't know how they're doing it, but anyhow, an example of the incredible places that music can go and what people can do with it and all that great stuff.
You preach it to the choir. It's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here. I love the fact that it's cross-generational, that you still listen to new music. You still get off on new music.
If it's good, if I like it, I like it.
Right.
I mean, and we're really lucky to have here KZE, a family-owned radio station. My dear pal Rick is the music director and morning guy. And they're motto is diversity in music, and they live up to it, and it's so great. Like I'll hear blind Willie McTell, and then hear Angine de Poitrine. Oh,
Right.
I mean, and the gamut, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, FU, it's like WFUV.
Yes,
Ford
absolutely,
University, or
absolutely.
WKE,
But this is
KEXP.
Yeah, but this is a commercial station, and they only accept advertising from local and regional businesses. Like you won't hear McDonald's commercials or stuff like that on there. Anyhow, and it's one of my sources for ears to the ground on, because Rick listens to everything that gets sent in, and put stuff in the hopper, and I get to hear it come out and go, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Earlier,
Stuart was talking on the drive over here. I was thinking to myself, so maybe the two, or let's just stick with this one. I was thinking to myself, what does it feel like that Sting played a Spector bass for years to millions of people, and that's your name on the headstock? What feelings does it emote in you that that's your creation? What does that do to you, if anything, or does it not matter to you?
what matter for me, I am eternally grateful to Dan Martin of the St. Charles Guitar Exchange. Can I tell you the story of how Sting got that?
Of course.
Okay, so Dan Martin was a friend and a dealer and had this haute cuisine guitar store in a suburb of St. Louis. And he supplied guitars to Eddie Van Halen and all kinds of luminaries, right? In fact, Eddie appeared on the cover of Guitar Player with a white Spector bass. Dan sold him that, okay?
Right.
Anyhow, Dan knows the police are coming around on the Synchronicity tour, and months in advance he says, make me a white one with chrome hardware. He went, yeah, sure. Well, Dan, among his other things, he owned a white stretch limo, which he drove himself. And he bribed all the security guards at the St. Louis Arena or Stadium so that at sound check, he would show up, they'd open the doors, he'd drive to the front of the stage, open up the trunk, put stuff on the stage and go, okay, guys, you're halfway through the tour, you made some bread now, time to buy yourself some toys. So he puts this white bass there. Danny Quattrochi, who is still Sting's tech to this day, looks at it and goes, oh, looks nice, I better show it to the boss. Shows it to Sting. Sting plugs it in, plays it all during sound check, plays it all during the show, and as he's getting in his limo to leave, points to Dan and says to the road accountant, write that man a check. And the next morning, this killer photo by a photographer who I think is deceased, named Oscar Peter, he must be Czech.
Yeah.
There's this great photo of Sting with no shirt on playing this thing with Stuart Copeland in the background, and our visibility went like that.
Yeah.
I could never, and of course, God bless him, he played it every night for 2.5 years. It's on the videotape. He wound up donating it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum, where it was in a case with Leo's Nocaster. We are not worthy. We are not worthy. I mean, that blew us, Jimmy and I, away. It was like, oh, that's so cool. Anyhow, so
you think that drove Spector sales up through the roof, that Sting played your bass?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beyond dispute. I mean,
more so than any other Spector artist?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, because of the timing, because of their velocity and the timing of our ability to make a little bit more stuff and having gotten our poop together, etc. So it came together in an opportune moment for things, for the boats to rise up.
As an artisan, did you want to continue making the same instrument, or did you say, okay, well, clearly this instrument's a hit.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's just keep pumping these out.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, what a rare privilege and honor to be able to produce the same design for 50 years now, basis 50,
Yeah.
virtually unchanged. I mean, we made a little bit of refinements from the original prototype or whatever. But that's, hey, I mean, that's historic. It really is.
I know
It's
I
just,
know it is.
and honestly, well, whatever, I am honored and floored by that. And I'm also, I mean, really, what I get off on is seeing people play music that delights me and delights them. That, I saw Graham Maybe with Joe Jackson about a month ago.
Beast.
He's just
Beast.
What a great guy. What a great player. What a
Yeah.
great musician.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with him after the show, and I said, all right, I'm going to embarrass you, Graham. Every time I see you play my bass, it makes me feel like I do something really worthwhile.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's, I mean, really, that's the deep joy of like, wow, I helped to create this tool for this great guy and this great musician to make music that I also love.
Yeah.
When I got the opportunity to work with him back at the Kramer days, I guess it was absolutely, I went, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, let's.
So do you sit down with? Does he pick a Spector bass that's made already, or do you sit down with him and then they tell you how to spec it out?
No, we made, actually, he was not in the very first wave of people that Kramer put on, but we made him a 5-string bass, which was our standard 34-inch scale 5-string at the time, and it's his Lucille. He played it the other night. He's still playing it, and the shop, we've made a backup one for him as close as possible to the specs on that one. It's a white one, I think, etc. But
Could Spector have happened anywhere else but New York?
probably not.
No?
Probably not.
Something in
Hey,
the water?
no, it's just, it's, I am so lucky to have grown up there and been there and lived there when I did, because there were, just like I said, so many opportunities in terms of people to meet, materials that, could be obtained, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just, I mean, stuff happens everywhere, but boy, Spector was certainly a New York story.
Do you think craftsmanship is becoming a lost art?
Not at all. Definitely not.
No.
No, I really don't. And I mean, right now, I mean, for years, I taught myself CNC technology, okay? And people have asked me, well, what would you do if you had to go back to doing it the old way? And I go, if I had to go back to doing it the old way, and I'll get into that in a minute, I'd get a job flipping burgers before I'd go back to doing it the old way, okay?
Why?
Because there are things that there is a point to doing with close attention and hand craftsmanship, and there are operations that there's no point of doing that, because the machine can do it effortlessly, like inlaying and cutting frets. I've done everything in the most primitive way possible. The first guitar that I made with this stuff from H.L. Wild, my tool for inlaying was a tool that the Egyptians used. It was literally a wooden handle with a curved piece of steel on it. And I scraped away the mortises for the inlays, and I cut the inlays with a jeweler's saw. Oh, here's a story I'd like to share with you, and this is another New
Please.
York one.
Please.
So somehow back then, when I was trying to make this first guitar, I said, I need a logo for the peg head. Okay. And somehow I looked in the Manhattan Yellow Pages. There was no, of course, internet or Whole Earth Catalog, whatever.
Yeah.
There was the Yellow Pages. And I found a guy on 42nd Street and 5th Avenue, the northeast corner, who was a hand engraver. How I knew that was the guy who could help me, I don't know, but he was. So I go up there and I have a piece of pearl for him to cut the logo out of. I don't even know what it's going to be. And I climb up these 3 little flights of stairs, and there's this little old guy in there who is a Jewish Egyptian immigrant who'd been in the U.S. for decades. Showed me hand saw work he'd done when he was younger out of silver plate that looked like filigree. It looked like wire work. This guy was incredible. He says, "What do you need?" "I want a logo for my instrument, a music guitar." He goes, "Okay, what are your initials?" "SS." He goes, "Okay, fine." The way hand engravers work, and I believe we discussed this, they have a leather donut and a sawed-off cannonball and wax on the top. They put the piece of work in there, and they hand stays still, and they twist the cannonball to create the lines. This guy, in literally 30 seconds maximum, freehand engraves and designs the double S logo that's been on the top of all his instruments. Just like twist, 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 twist. He pops it off, takes out his jeweler's saw, which I got one later and learned how to use, and cuts it out and hands it to me in another minute and a half or whatever. Okay? He says, "Oh yeah, I did another musical instrument job." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, out of gold plate, I cut initials and inlaid them into the handle of Jascha Heifetz's bow."
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I really would love to honor this guy by, I will try to find his name so that I can honor this man, because that was later an extremely key piece of intellectual property.
Yes, did he know who Jascha Heifetz was at the time?
Oh,
Do
he
you think
totally.
knew?
Oh no, absolutely. He totally knew who Jascha Heifetz was.
Okay,
He didn't know.
he
He didn't know who Eric Clapton was, but Jascha Heifetz he certainly knew.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think so, especially from his lineage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When you're in the workshop and you're working on your builds,
Uh-huh.
are you listening to music? What are you
Yeah.
thinking about? What's running through your mind?
I'm generally listening to music, and among my favorite radio stations, here's a plug for WWOZ.org, listener-sponsored radio for New Orleans, Louisiana. Music 24/7. Check it out. I give them $10 a month. The best money I spend, period. It's so great. Nobody on the air gets paid. People come in once a week and do a 2 or 3 hour show. The only people who get paid are the technicians, the office staff, etc. And everybody else. The Monday night fellow, Gentili Jr., has been doing this killer blues, R&B, gospel, and country show every Monday night for 3 hours for over 40 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
And
He loves it. He just loves
and
introducing people to music.
and you can listen to their programs on their 2-week archive, so that and they're like the greatest collection of stuff. You will hear things that you would never have discovered in a million years, because a bunch of these people are record hounds and like find 45s that are just
Right.
like,
Right.
wow, holy moly, God, I'd like to have been a fly on the wall for that session.
It's like Napster, right? When Napster came out and you could find people's recordings and oddball recordings that were never released.
Well,
But people have these recordings.
YouTube is the only other thing I subscribe to. Okay, I am a subscriber to a guy whose name is Claddagh Bill Kelly, I believe, from Northern Ireland. He's probably got the world's greatest 45 RPM rhythm and blues record collection.
Yeah.
It's staggering what he puts. And my pal Sasha said to me, like, the reason Google bought YouTube is that more people listen to music on YouTube than every other streaming service combined. Bada bing.
Guilty.
Yeah, me too.
Guilty.
I
I
just-
just let the mix go. I
Yeah,
let the mix
yeah,
go.
no.
But
Yes.
isn't it interesting that you're such a fan of that genre, yet when I think Spector, I think more on the heavy side. I see I'm losing the name. I see the bass player for Alice in Chains.
Oh, yeah,
rocking
sure.
your bass. I
Judas
see
Priest.
Godsmack. I
Yeah,
see
yeah.
Judas Priest. I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
all
yeah,
these,
yeah.
all these.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a metal bass, but I see your bass being played in the heavier genres. Why is that?
Because, okay, because it cuts through, because it holds its own with everything else that's going on. That's why. But as I mentioned earlier before we started recording, among the things that I love so much is the tremendous range of music that people play on Spector basses. I was talking about Pablo Stennett backing up Jimmy Cliff and Ziggy Marley
Yeah.
and Graham Mabey. It just, and the diversity. And the reason, like, I am so focused on this New Orleans rhythm and blues is I grew up in Sedgwick Housing Project in the West Bronx. And our next door neighbors were this lovely black couple, Bernie and Bee, and I could hear their radio that they were listening to in their apartment at night when I was falling asleep. And they were listening to WADO in Newark, New Jersey, and WLIB. And I remember the WADO, Wadu, Wadu, Wado, WADO, Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Jive 7 with that taste from heaven. And so I heard all this stuff in the late 50s, and it's like, wow, I really like this. I'd like to play some funky stuff, but it took years to learn how to do it or even approach it. But I knew what I liked. I like stuff that goes bump in the night.
Why bass? Why bass is your instrument?
It's the instrument to build. There was bass players, God bless you all, were so much more open to new ideas and new instruments. And it's still true to this day. And there was also at that point, well, pretty soon after the big bass synth scare happened, and so people were
Hence
really...
the low B.
You got it, exactly right. And so that was like, okay, time to make some 5 strings and figure out how to do that. But in terms of, really, cutting through stacks of guitars and all of that other stuff and holding the right spot in the mix was part of, what the strength and solidity and the clarity of the EMG pickups and the HAZ preamp, all of that rolled into the right recipe for the job.
When you listen to a song, does your ear go right to the bass? Generally? Do you have to take it away from the bass? For the most part, there are iconic guitar licks, there are iconic piano licks, there are iconic drum beats. But does your ear go straight? Mine does. I'm wondering if yours does.
Mine goes straight to 2 things, the bass and the melody of the song. And recently, when Brian Wilson passed, I read an interview with him where he said something that totally grabbed me. And I was not aware of. He said, I start writing all of my songs on bass. And I went, that is so right. So totally
It's the
right.
foundation.
It's the foundation. And my dear pal Jimmy, who I play music with and who's my right-hand man at the factory, he said, yeah, the bass is the center of it. Everything else is just window dressing.
Yeah.
It's just icing. It's like, and the first really super pro customer I had was Prakash John, who was backing up Alice Cooper then, and had backed up Lou Reed, et cetera. He's from Toronto, and I'm still in touch with him. And he said to me, if you're a good bass player, you should feel and know that you are the center of the pulse of the band. And I saw him, well, I've seen him, I saw him and his son, or sons at NAMM, maybe about 7, 8 years ago. And I grabbed one of his sons and said, I want to tell you something that your dad told me 35 years ago, whatever it was. Like, and I laid that rap on him.
Yeah.
And it's so totally true.
I mean, what I respect is, okay, so we mentioned that today is Stuart's birthday. Would you mind telling us how old you are?
77.
And are you still excited to get up every morning and work on your new line?
I have trouble falling asleep because I'm thinking about, and that transient time between, like, when you get your best ideas, and I'll lean over and like babble it into the notepad to jot it down.
Yeah.
It's like, so like last night, and I have to look at my notes to remember what it was, but I thought about something. I went, oh yeah, that's a better way to do this. I was like, oh, and so
And you Jones to get into the workshop the next day?
I literally had trouble falling asleep because like, oh, I want to try this, I want to do that. Anyhow, so You know,
Is
it's,
it the music or the building or what is it? What narrow down? What is the drive? What is it? Is it the music that's going to come out of it? Is it the aesthetic that's going to come out of it? What is it?
it's all of that, and it's the joy and challenge of problem solving, of figuring out how
Interesting.
to do stuff. And there's always, you know, it's rarely as easy as it seemed. And then, okay, I need to rethink part of this. And that's just hugely exciting and entertaining to me.
Do you have an audience in mind for this new Aesopus line?
People who don't like to twiddle knobs.
Okay.
Okay, it's
Great answer.
okay.
Great answer, because as I was sitting there playing one earlier, I kept looking for the volume or for the tone just to feel where it was, and I'm like, there is no volume or tone.
Yes. These Stonefly basses. First off, I wanted to do something completely different. I had the freedom to strike out in new directions. I made about a dozen flat top acoustic guitars. Had the idea for the basses and started working on them. And it was with the intention of making an instrument for players that are going to set up their sound for whatever they're doing for that gig or that set or whatever, and then use their hands and whatever else to control what they want to create.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm really so delighted to hear the stuff you played this morning,
Yeah.
which it was just exciting.
Thank you.
You know,
I found that it resonated. Fingers, pick, slap.
Yeah.
And then I know a big test for musicians is playing the instrument unamplified, and does it still resonate?
Absolutely, you bet.
You know,
Exactly.
Otherwise,
Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be a louder hunk of wood.
right. Otherwise, you're relying all on predominantly on the electronics, the preamp that's built inside there to do most of the work, and not the tone woods or the craftsmanship.
Uh-huh.
What is the one bass that you're most proud of making? I'm not talking model. I'm talking the bass, and who plays it.
Well, that's a difficult question.
I know, that's why I asked it.
Okay, off the top of my head, and we mentioned this earlier, I made a 5-string NS for Pablo Stennett, who was playing with Jimmy Cliff and then with Ziggy, and still plays with Ziggy. And it had a HAZ made custom brass piezo bridge with buffer circuits in it and individual trim pots for each saddle, and then a tone controls. This is with EQ for the piezo and EQ for the 2 EMG magnetics. And anyhow, I went to the sound check at the Chance in Poughkeepsie where Ziggy was playing, and I was sitting there in the
Ziggy Marley, by the way.
Ziggy Marley, yeah. Not Ziggy Haspod, who's one of my fishing buddies in California, but anyhow.
Shout out.
But I sat there and listened to Pablo and the drummer going through their warm-up or whatever, and it was the most incredible bass sound I've ever heard. It was like God speaking on bass. And I went to Pablo when they stopped, and I said, let me guess, you've got the piezo on and the bass on the piezo boosted somewhat, and most of the signals coming from that, and then you've got some of the front magnetic pickup mixed in. He went, yep, that's exactly what you're hearing.
Because you heard it.
I just made a good guess. And I want to take this opportunity to say to everybody that piezos are incredibly wide frequency response to them. Don't get like suckered into, excuse me.
I can't imagine it hasn't been ringing off the hook, especially on your birthday.
It's my friend Glenn. Okay, anyhow, piezos have this incredibly wide frequency response, and people tend to neglect the low end of it, which is unlike anything else, period. The low frequency response to it is fantastic.
You think piezos are underrated?
I think they're
Undervalued.
I think they're improperly utilized by the end user a lot of the time because they're focused on making it sound clicky or acoustically or I mean, there's lots of ways to use it.
Of course.
But for me, that it's like, whoa, that's some special sauce.
Yeah.
It really is.
Also, depending on the genre, of course, and you
Yeah.
talk about with reggae music, you want that low end, you want it to ring through you.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely.
So, in closing,
Yeah.
when all is said and done, what do you think your life's work has really been all about at 77 years old? How do you encapsulate what your life's work's been about?
Being lucky enough to do what I've wanted to do all of my adult life. Okay. Aside from a couple of consultancies, I've been self-employed my entire adult life. So I'm basically unemployable.
Yeah.
I'm unmanageable.
Yeah.
Though I'm a good team player. I love working with people and I really do love the interchange of ideas and stuff.
How great is it to be a musician and to be into the circles?
And how great is it to play music with other people, especially regardless, but especially if you've played with them for a while, like you have and I've played.
Yes.
But I always try to tell people who aren't musicians, one of the magical things about it is you are part of a larger, more wonderful and more powerful organism than you could ever be by yourself. And that's magic. That is cosmic magic.
I completely understand. You know, I talk about how I was just at the Bologna show in Italy, and Alex Lafoco, who's an amazing young bass player out of Italy, an amazing player. He gave a class, a clinic, and it was maybe an hour long, and it was in Italian because we were in Italy.
Sure.
And maybe the first 40 minutes he was speaking, and I didn't understand it because I don't speak Italian. But the last 20 minutes he was playing, as soon as he hit the first note, we spoke the same language. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. As soon as he hit that first note, I'm like, yeah, all right, now we're communicating.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it in a world today that it has so much separating us, music really does truly bring us together. It's a wonderful club to be in.
It's a great interaction of humanity and cross-fertilization and influence and the musical melting pot of the planet, which now with the incredible access to...
We've never lived in a better time.
We've never lived in a better time to like hear all the great stuff that's going on around the world.
Right.
Another shout out, radiogarden.org. 40,000 radio stations around the planet. I haven't gotten out of East and West Africa yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still
Talk about amazing musicianship also that many people don't know are, you know, I'm a bass player, but African bass lines or African guitar parts.
oud players from
player-
Sudan. I mean, it's just like, oh man. I may wind up making some ouds. I love the sound of them so much.
Yeah.
We'll see, but a lot of other stuff on the dance card first.
No, I understand. You know, it just I'm trying to think of the bass player, but when I turn on a station, and internet radio stations go back a long time.
Yeah, sure.
And I hear like an African groove. It could be from South Africa, it could be from Senegal, it could be from the Congo, it could be from anywhere.
Right.
I'm like, I'm so not used to that, and I fucking love it. Excuse my language.
Absolutely.
I love that pocket. It's so unlike what I'm used to listening to with rock music.
I've been listening to an oldie station in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Yeah.
Okay. Zilipendwa is the Kiswahili word for oldies. Literally, it translates to that which we revere or revered.
Yeah.
Okay? And they play music from the period of the early dependence of Tanzania, stopped being Tanganyika, the British colony.
Yeah.
And there was this huge cultural flourishing, and the government and the unions and social were fronting these 10-piece bands and getting them instruments and produce, and there was great recording equipment there from the British.
Yeah.
You know, and so the level and quality of the music blows my mind.
Right.
Just the interaction, and you know, and one of the things I love is a group composition with room for improvisation in weaved into it. That really, Charles Mingus, that sort of stuff is the top of my desert island
Understood.
parade.
I mean,
You know?
the fact that, let's say we didn't even, we were just formally introduced today, let's just say.
Yeah.
And we had a mutual friend, they made an introduction. I say, I'm a musician. It comes up in conversation. You say you're a musician. Okay, let's say we weren't musicians. We would essentially stand there awkwardly waiting for our friend to come back. But if I say, oh, you know, yes, what do you do? Well, you know, I'm a musician, I play, and you tell me you play, that conversation could go on for hours. Friendships, lifelong friendships could come from that.
Absolutely.
I have this tattoo on my arm. I can't tell you the conversation starter. It's been, oh, you play? Yeah, you play? Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that word, because this is the way that I really like to end interviews. In English, it's playing music. Play music. Bring joy to yourself, bring joy to others, bring more joy to the world. We all need more of it.
Yeah.
Parumpum.
Yeah. All right, very good. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. So much fun.
The
To
pleasure's-
be continued.
Yeah, to be continued. The pleasure's
Awesome.
all mine, and I can't wait. Stay tuned for the unboxing on the bass that I just got today. It's a killer, and that'll be coming up soon. I can't wait to show you guys this. You should really check out the new line. Is the site built? Is the website built for the new line?
Yes, oh, absolutely. Asopusguitars.com.
ESOPUS.
ESOPUS, asopusguitars.com, and you'll see guitars and the Stonefly basses, pictured info, and all that good stuff there, and how to
Yeah.
get in touch with us.
Yeah, so I just got my hands on one. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys. So,
Cool.
David Sutkin and Stuart Spector, on behalf of Bass Upfront, Stuart's a member, and Resonance. And that concludes this interview. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Say goodnight, Daisy.
Good night.